Uneducated psychologist. Good morning, Sun Gunners. We are going to start with Chapter 4. Chapter 4, moving along, is about Kurt, the manager of SUNGUN, one of the managers of SUNGUN. Kurt transitioned into logical thinking when pushed to binary choices, his aspirational potential only possible once all counterfactuals were exhausted. So intellectual. I watched him age now. Remember, we were doing lowercase, even in the beginning of a sentence, huh? Interesting. I watched him age into a switch-flipping professional. His experience on Earth developed knowledge bombs ready for tactical deployment. Kurt lost his grip on reality way too often, getting things done in a reasonable manner completely destroyed in the face of not meeting goals. His need to please had nowhere to go, leaving him stretched too thin, overwhelmed and pushed to the limit. For the hunt, Kurt needed to find Aunt Andy and Gigi to break out of his childish loop, who Gary was also looking for, ready for any sub-K available to take the job. It was a big deal for Kurt to admit he needed help, and hunting competition was a bit extra for him. When it came to a solution, I understood shooting sprees were mostly caused by insulated gamers rejected by women in the Priverse, a theory best left explored by podcasters endlessly debating the origin of reality. Hilarious. With haptic gel spread generously across two L's and generously. Here we go. Hitting that Google up. There is one L. Across any surface, even a shooter was subdued, or at least that was his solution. Watching Kurt move was unlike other bodies. His inferior mind connected directly to the feeling of touch. In times of stress, memories either burned or froze, either way a small concession no matter how he stood. Nina stepped at the fully powered garage door and gave it a slight push with all his weight, that tiny amount of force enough to find the right angle and make him sick from vertigo. Not entirely sure, Nina thought it was the earpiece she used for isochronic tones and a little bass boost which ruptured her eardrum. The door rocked in protest before folding up as an accordion preparing for the next measure. Some slight resistance before the partition fully engaged. Taking a step back, Nina began to spin inside her head. A vomit-inducing experience best suited to test space travelers before making the big leap into orbit. At the center of Kurt's work area was a giant wooden table laminated flat. from Desert Dagger bark, a process he mastered from years of planing hardwood for custom construction. As side projects went, Kurt felt the moral ting of obligation to learn the craft so he could manage others as they took over the business. A thing yet realized. What? Instead, Kurt helped with the political back-channeling for the Desert Dagger Agreement virtual kiosk in reality. Instead, Kurt helped with the political back-channeling for the Desert Dagger Agreement to take true form. Along with the virtual kiosk stationed in reality. A strange Web3 world he learned to navigate alone. It only took a few months and Kurt was on his feet, a fact he carefully avoided in case the whole Priverse industry imploded. Where are we, yo? The large battery array Kurt had installed in his garage was impressive. A system capable of both recharging his truck and heating the pool at the same time. Vanadium redox flow battery. The large vanadium redox flow battery Kurt had installed in his garage was impressive. System capable of both recharging his truck and heating the pool at the same time. Ready for a real emergency, he had all the extra things anyone needed in case the world dramatically changed, and the Canadian truckers were his go-to example for preparation. The first hole Kurt punched in the pitch roof of his 3-car garage was to install a prefabricated cupola he bought online. With a simple idea to first test what already existed out there and improve upon it. Kurt was a reserve agent for the federal government. His personality set more for solitary technical innovation at the start. With his ability to finish even his own projects very much lacking. Most would have considered a local skunk somewhat of a private nuisance with its foul odors, but Kurt had lost his sense of smell from too much exposure to burn pits in Afghanistan during his multiple deployments. The black and white color scheme even helped hide the neighborhood nuisance from sight, but Kurt had thermal cameras set up around his garage to capture everything going on around him. Just to poke fun at virtual Nina, Kurt played the latest private stream of uneducated psychologists, so virtual Nina felt she was appreciated by her boss. The podcast, an interesting side hustle, even Kurt found universally valuable. As a government agent on the side, Kurt thought he understood what it meant to have something else going on, even if he wanted no one to know about it. His secret support for the Canadian truckers evident by his lack of criticism over their protests. It's more of a, when I adding stuff in the in the middle, which there's going to be plenty of. I'm going to have to go over this whole thing a couple times. In his mind, it was simple. You know what you need to do now? Well, I will answer that simple question. What? I don't even know that word. I wrote it. What? How do I not know this word?
Facetious.
Oh.
Facetious.
Okay. Damn, that's horrible. Like, I spelled it right, and then I read it, and I didn't know what I read. Facetious. Wow. You thought I was smart, huh? Mm-hmm. So, I'm creative, but I didn't want to sound it out. Instead, I just Googled it. Is that probably the most embarrassing thing you can imagine? Is you wrote a word you can't even. In his mind, it was simple. You know what we need to do now? Well, I will answer that simple question, my facetious friend. We will create a business plan to end all solar reviews. Oh, how does that sound, Nina? Kurt laughed at pronouncing Nina. His name somewhat questionable in Kurt's old school eyes. Reviews, huh? In Kurt's mind, the wooden beehive Sub-Zs were inspired by him to become the sleep pods all the solar reviews were about. The beach landing and mountaintop views, a result of clever marketing Kurt spearheaded, and not Nina. She wanted to provide PTO customers more than a congratulations for permission to operate. She wanted to provide PTO customers more than a congratulations for permission to operate. A long-term follow-up to generate referral business. Yeah. It's interesting, huh? Solar sales. Oh my gosh, I was actually writing about that before. It's unbelievable. Okay. With all doors closed, Kurt turned up his surround sound. Let us start straight away with the latest nonsense so we can work together to cancel this cancel culture. People ask me, how does the woke mob form? It seems spontaneous. Well, the answer is both simple and not. They arise from the concept of a postmodern bully. Oh. The idea intrigued Kurt. This is something like CRT, critical race theory. This is something like CRT on steroids. Where critical race theory gets debunked. But when we go too far, there is a whipsaw, and we get hit at both ends. So this postmodern bully is like that. A collection of decentralized individuals with the same message at the same time, and then they move on. We cannot allow ourselves to be hijacked by fear. Okay. We're not going to be hijacked by fear. Kurt got things started all right, but all his caring did not get the job done. Well, his virtue was extreme self-sacrifice, but with his innate covert contract, he felt the need to wash dishes at other people's homes to draw out his What's going on here? Kurt got things started all right, but all his caring did not get the job done. His virtue was extreme self-sacrifice, but with his innate covert contract, he felt the need to wash dishes at other people's homes to draw out his self-worth, and if he didn't care, he would turn to asking as a vice. I'm not sure what happened. If Kurt didn't get more sales as a result of giving more leads to his team, then he turned and started taking by offering help with unknown strings attached by enforcing his rule of attending sales meetings on time or else lose leads. Oh, great. The key to unlock Kurt's covert contract was to obligate his inner parent to recognize boundaries and standards of others with a dominating tone, a sound a repetitive sound tapping on the skull of anyone who would listen. I don't know what that even means. Sometimes you just write words and then you're like, oh, okay. I don't know what I just wrote. Just like facetious. How about this one?
Repetitive.
Kurt needed to recognize and help others No. Kurt needed recognition and help to figure out what other salespeople around him wanted, and the experience virtual Nina wanted to have at all times. What? Kurt needed recognition and help to figure out what other salespeople around him wanted and needed. The experience virtual Nina demanded, dictated dominance at all times. The experience virtual Nina demanded dictated dominance at all times. Triple D. Wow. I wonder if that'll sound right when I read it later. And let me make sure I can spell any of these words correctly. Okay. The final key was to constantly get Kurt involved with all referrals generated from newly closed sales. A process so he could give care to a new circle of people as perpetual virtue. Constantly collapsing into the present tense. The best part of our sales manager was he never gave a straight answer, but always extracted information to get the job done right the first time. He was willing to let you take advantage of him once. Only once, and did get a record of all wrongs, and did keep a record of all wrongs. The secret to accepting his contribution of totally going to live forever, but not keep his mind together. Forever, yet not keep his mind together. I'm just cleaning it up to fit the format I decided with the and then go back. And he needed gratitude to avoid over-controlling the situation to fit his true sense of ethical correctness. A simple solution he found while working. In his garage sat a small hole in the roof with a triangular perimeter carved out. An example of his idea. How each home in the future could become a mining node and operate autonomously. Autonomously. Presentation. What's going on here? What did I write here? Oh dear. This is interesting. Interesting. Huh. Okay. I don't know what I'm looking at, but there's definitely more going on later. All right. I'm gonna call it right there. There's I started writing weird, not weird, but I'm not gonna get into it yet. And so, uneducated psychologist, uneducated. All I gotta say is, what do I gotta say? All I gotta say is, oh, it doesn't work. Uneducated psychologist. Out.